What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be going over how you can win more close range fights in the Zero Build mode. I'm sure that this video will help a lot of you because these close range fights are going to be the fights that really matter and really determine the outcome of a game. Like a lot of times, if somebody is shooting you mid range, you can kind of choose whether or not you want to be in that fight. But when it comes down to close range fights, the fight is typically going to happen. One player is going to win, one player is going to lose, and that is going to decide the outcome of the game. So in today's video, I have a bunch of tips that should help you win more close range fights in the Zero Build mode. If you guys do find this video helpful or informative, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you would like to see more, and comment down below which shotgun you think is best in the Zero Build mode. I'm sure I already know the answer to that question, but comment down below what your preferred shotgun is for the Zero Build mode. Also, if you guys want to watch me live on Twitch, I stream every day. It'll be linked down in the description below, but my Twitch is just EvolveJake, like my YouTube name. So the first thing we're going to talk about in the Zero Build mode is going to be what weapons you want to be using for close range. For shotguns, I feel like you have two choices really, the striker pump and the drum shotty. And then for SMGs, I think the combat SMG is significantly better than the Stinger SMG. And I'm sure a lot of you are probably asking yourself now, based on some polls I did in the past, what about the Ranger shotgun? The Ranger shotgun is good, but I feel like in the Zero Build mode, it's really not that good. It does hit hard in one shot, but with the shotgun buff that happened a few weeks ago, it doesn't hit so much harder than the striker pump that I feel like it's worth taking over the striker pump because you cannot swap back to it. Whereas with the striker pump, the ideal playstyle, I think, is you hit a shot, it hopefully hits for triple digits, you swap to your sub and shoot for a decent amount of time, and then you swap back to your striker pump for the finishing blow. And you got to get that timing perfect so that you're using your SMG for just enough time to where your striker pump is able to shoot again. Like the moment your striker pump is able to shoot again, you want to be on that striker pump and hitting that last shot because it is typically going to hit for over 3 digits with the most recent shotgun update. And that's why I think the striker pump is better than the Ranger in the Zero Build mode, because when you use the Ranger, you hit hard. You might hit like 10% harder than the pump or 20% harder, but it's not going to be so much harder that you're guaranteeing like a one-hit kill, you know? It's going to be around the same amount of damage with the Ranger or the striker pump, but with the Ranger, you don't have the option to swap back to it. You have to use the SMG for the remainder of the fight, whereas with the striker pump, you're really only using the SMG to fill the space in between striker pump shots. And that is one of the reasons why the striker pump is good in this mode. If you have that down perfectly, if you have really good aim, and you're going to hit both striker pump shots hard, and you have really good timing so that you're going to be using your SMG for just the right amount of time, not too much, not too little. You just have the timing perfect between striker pump shots, then it can kill people really fast and you can be really lethal. However, the drum shotgun is almost just as good and it takes pretty much no skill. I feel like that's the problem when it comes to striker pump versus drum shotty in this mode, is they're very comparable. I think the striker pump is better if you are like amazing, but the drum shotty is not that far off, you know? They're very close, and skill doesn't matter with the drum shotty, you know? With the striker pump, you have to be pretty much perfect. With the drum shotty, anybody can pick it up and almost be just as good as anybody else. And that is a real problem with the drum shotgun. I feel like in this mode in general, I don't mind it as much in build, but in Zero Build, it is really difficult to play against the drum shotty. So I think you should probably use the drum shotty. If you're a very skilled player, then the striker pump can be better. But it's really, every fight is going to come down to skill. If you mess up at all, you're probably going to lose to the drum shotty. You have to hit every shot well, and you have to have that timing perfect. And the drum shotty, like we just talked about, I don't need to go into it too much. I'm sure all of you already think the drum shotgun is broken. You don't really have to do anything. You just spam out shots, hit as many pellets on them as possible, and you're going to kill the person very quickly. So, yeah. That is the shotgun meta. I feel like striker pump or drum shotty, just depending on how you want to play and what your play style is. And then for SMG, combat sub versus stinger, I still see a lot of people saying the combat sub's recoil is too hard to control. It is not. If you put in the time and get used to it, you can definitely take advantage of the combat sub. I've also seen people saying that it's only a controller weapon, and since they play keyboard, they can't do it. But I know several keyboard players who have better SMG aim than I do, and I play controller with aim assist. So you just got to pull down on your analog stick as you're shooting it, or pull down on your mouse as you're shooting it, and you'll be able to control the recoil very easily once you get the hang of it. And that brings us to our sensitivity, which is pretty important in close range fights in Fortnite. I think it is important that you have an X and Y sensitivity that makes it easy for you to track people in close range with your hip fire. That is what you want to be doing most of the time with your shotgun and SMG, is hip firing. The only time I really aim in with my SMG is at like decent medium range, or if the person just isn't paying attention to me. But in most fights, I'm just going to be hip firing both of these weapons. So you want to have a good sensitivity that allows you to track people well with your hip fire. If you feel like you don't have any control while hip firing and you can't really track people, you probably need to play on a lower sensitivity. And then same thing goes. If you're so slow that you can't keep up with people, that's a different problem, and you probably need to turn it up. Finding that balance of what's controllable for you and what allows you to stay on target and actually like keep up with people is super important, and that's what's going to make your aim consistent when it comes to hip firing. And that is like the most important thing with shotgun aim in Fortnite, is just having a good hip fire sense, because if you aim in a lot with these weapons in close fights, it can be helpful to kind of like tease the trigger to reduce your sensitivity a little bit, like get that ADS sense for like a brief moment. But if you're just hard ADSing in every fight with a shotgun, it's going to be very easy for opponents to out strafe you, and you don't want to have that. And if you don't know what strafing is, that's also very important in close range fights. That is going to be you moving your character around while you're fighting people. If you're just standing there not doing anything, you're making it very easy for your opponent to track you, you know? Like we were just talking about, you need your sensitivity to be well enough where you can keep up with people and also stay on target. But if someone was just standing still, it would be really easy for you to hit them, right? That is not, and that's true, right? But that's not what you want to give other people, you know? If you're just standing still in every fight, you're giving every opponent you play against a really easy fight, and you don't want that. You want to make it as hard as possible for them to hit shots. So you want to be moving around, you want to be jumping, you want to be crouch spamming. And when it comes to controller keybinds, I think it's really important that you have both jump and crouch on binds where you don't have to take your thumbs off the analog sticks. That way you can always be aiming while doing them, right? Like, by default binds, your jump button is probably A if you're on Xbox or X if you're on PlayStation. And what that'll make it you have to do is take your thumb off the right analog stick to hit that button. And that's not very good, because then you can't be aiming while doing so. So if you play a default controller, no paddles or anything, and you only play the zero build mode, I think it's important to go into your keybinds and map crouch to the right analog stick and jump to the left analog stick. That way you'll be able to do either of these actions without taking your thumbs off the analog stick, so you can jump shot in these fights and you can crouch spam in these fights, and it won't really throw off your aim at all. That's what I would do personally. If you want jump on right and crouch on left, that's fine. But you want both of these actions mapped to buttons where you can aim and do them at the same time, is what I'm trying to say. And then when it comes to crouch spamming versus jumping in a fight, it's kind of hard to say, because there's no like perfect solution, you know? Every fight is going to be different. But I feel like if you're fighting somebody using the drum shotgun, crouch spamming probably isn't going to be the best option, because they're probably just shooting body level anyways. It doesn't really benefit you that much to be going for headshots with the drum shotty. Like, it does help, but a lot of people just go for body shots with it. So if you end up crouching, you're going to put your head where your body was, and that's not going to be good. But if you're playing against someone who's spraying you with an SMG or using something like the striker pump or the ranger, then crouch spamming can actually be decent, because a lot of times with those weapons, people are going to be going for headshots. And when you crouch spam, you move where your head is, and that's going to throw off their aim. So yeah, just be evasive in a fight. Like I said, there's no perfect way to do it. Every fight is going to be different, and there might be times where you jump and it ends up hurting you because they were aiming at the sky for some reason. But a majority of the time, making yourself a hard target to hit by moving around, by crouch spamming, and by jumping is going to make it harder for the opponent to hit you. And that's another reason why you want good hipfire tracking with your sensitivity, because if you have to ADS in every fight, it's going to be harder for you to be moving as fast, because I think ADSing like slows down your movement. So that's not what you want. So yeah, you want to be hip firing in most of these fights. Inevitably, when you come to close range fights in Fortnite, you're probably going to have some fights around cover or around pieces, or you're trying to push somebody who's hiding behind cover. Like, let's say you tag somebody with an AUG and then they get behind a rock, and then you want to shockwave onto them, but you don't quite get onto them. When it comes to pushing the cover piece, I think it's important that you try to put the cover piece in between you and them as well. You know, if you walk wide right or wide left, it's going to be just as easy for them to shoot you as it is for you to shoot them. But if you kind of put the cover piece in between both of you, then you kind of have a fight where like you're circling it with each other, and you just basically want to fake like you're going one way and then go the other. And typically you're going to want to fake like you're going left and then go right, because the camera in Fortnite is off center. And if you're right shoulder peeking, you have an advantage. So if you fake like you're going left, the opponent is going to be going right around like a tree, for example. And then you can actually go right, and you're going to have right shoulder peek on them, because for them, it's going to be left, just the way it changes based on you turning. That might have just confused you with what I was saying, but you just want to make sure you have right shoulder peek. If you're playing an opponent who won't let you get that, like they're just constantly countering your movement and constantly circling you, then like trying to like sprint jump around one side and then slide can be beneficial. So I'll have gameplay of it on screen right now when I'm talking about, because this is weird, but just sprint and then jump wide and then slide out, and you should be able to see behind whatever cover piece they're sitting on, and it will oftentimes catch people off guard. This can also be good for people camping in doorways or around corners if you like jump and slide in, but oftentimes it will get you, like, they're going to know it's coming and they might still hit you, but they might not hit you as hard as they were going to. It could just be awkward pushing someone who's sitting around a corner with your default movement is what I'm trying to say. Because you're going slower, but when you sprint slide into it, then you're going to be going decently fast with your slide, and you're going to be going faster and hopefully catch the opponent off guard, or at least clear that corner faster and give them less time where they're shooting at you and you can't shoot back. So I hope I had gameplay showing you what I meant by that, because I know it was probably kind of confusing to just listen to. And the final thing I'm going to say is that being the first person to know about the fight is a huge advantage, and this goes with any sort of range in Fortnite, whether it's a close range fight or a medium range fight, a long range fight, whatever. If you're the person that starts the fight, if you get tags on somebody with an AUG and then shockwave onto them, it's a huge advantage for you. If you're able to get the first shotgun shot on somebody, that makes it very hard for them because they just took probably like 100 damage and they didn't know it was about to happen. So you want to play in such a way where you're starting fights as much as possible. If you find the opposite being true, like you often feel like the opponents are getting first shot on you, then you probably need to change something about your gameplay in order to change that. But try to put yourself in situations where you're getting the first shot, because the player that gets first shot in the zero build mode has a huge advantage, and that can really just be the thing that swings a fight. Because if two players are drum shotgunning at each other, they're both just probably going to be trading damage, you know? There's no like clean kills in the zero build mode really, because you can't protect yourself. So try to be someone who's getting first shot often. And like I said, if the opposite is true, like the opponents are always getting first shot on you, you probably need to change something about your gameplay. So think about why that's always happening to you and try to like figure out what you can fix about your gameplay. Hope you guys found this video helpful or informative. If you did, remember to give it a like I said previously. Subscribe if you want to see more. Comment down below which shotgun you think is best, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.